What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet, and this is your week in gaming. This week's episode is proudly sponsored by, well, viewers like you. Thanks to viewers exactly like you, we're able to bring you this show every single week, and sometimes we have a big sponsor that's willing to spend a little bit of money to get a shout out here, and on the weeks that we don't, I always like to thank you personally for watching. Now, some of you guys only check the videos once a week to see if this video has been uploaded. Some of you watch every single day, though. And some of you even actually pulled out the credit card to interact with some of the sponsors that we've had here on this show. And some of you have even gone as far as to support me directly via Patreon or my Twitch stream. So for all of you people who are helping, and no matter what, whether you're just helping that view count, or you're sending me a nice positive letter or a message on Twitter, or if you're pulling out that credit card to directly interact to make sure that our sponsors are glad they advertise here, regardless, I just want to take the time to say thank you for making sure that even when this ad money is completely dried up, I know me and my family are still going to be taken care of by you guys. So thanks for watching. Thanks for caring. Now let's get into the news. So here's some pretty exciting news for me because I've been waiting on a new 2D Metroid game for a really, really long time, and I hope that that is included here. It looks like, if rumors are to be believed, there are 2 new Metroid games currently being worked on, presumably both to launch on the Switch. Now, one of these games is being developed by Retro Studios, who, if you've been paying attention, made Metroid Prime and some of the Donkey Kong games. Most recently, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, I think, was their last game. And that probably means the game that they are working on is going to be a Metroid Prime sequel, which is great, which is fine. I'll be here to tell you I never played the Metroid Prime games, preferring instead the Metroid 2D games. That's the type I grew up with. Super Metroid being my favorite in the entire series. Absolutely incredible game. If somehow you missed that one, you really should play it. The original Metroid is amazing too. That's what I'm hoping the second game happens to be. I'm sure the first will be Prime. But either way, as long as they are not that terrible 3DS title that we got instead, please let it be either Prime or some decent 2D game. Please let it be a 2D game. And speaking of nostalgic games that I've been waiting literally forever for, Kingdom Hearts 3 may have a potential release date. It looks like it was probably slated to come out in 2018. And all of the rumors that are circulating about this game right now basically explain why this game has been stuck in development hell. So rumor has it, the director of this game, and I'm probably mispronouncing this, Tetsuya Nomura, the rumor is he's a bit of a perfectionist, and this can be seen when it comes to another game that was in development for literally forever, and that's Final Fantasy 15. Now, this game was announced, I think 4 or 5 years ago, whenever the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out. They announced it, I think, that same E3. Could be wrong, but I think it was around that time. So I think this E3 would be the 5th anniversary of that announcement. Isn't that insane? But of course, those of you who have been playing this series, starting with number 1 and number 2, I've been waiting on this game for over a decade. Wasn't it like 2004 that Kingdom Hearts 2 wrapped up? And they showed that cliffhanger ending, and then, oh God, and then I've been cliff-hung. I've been cliff-hung this whole time. And it looks like the people in charge, the money people, have decided that it's time to push this game out of the door, even if it isn't perfect, and maybe even if it's not fully complete. They want this game to come out in 2018. They want to get their money back, which is fairly reasonable. The problem is, if you played Final Fantasy 15, you'll know that the end of that game does not feel like the rest of the game. I've refused to play it because I'm waiting to see if they ever patch the end like they said they would, but they say right around Chapter 13, it goes from this open world, awesome game to this very closed corridor style game, similar to what I guess Final Fantasy 12, which I hated. I like open world Final Fantasy. I like being able to go wherever I want. I hate hallway simulators. That's what the end of Final Fantasy 15 is, and if that's what this game turns out to be, I will be pissed. Now, in all fairness, they have a heck of a workload on this. And not only are there a lot of individual movies they could go into, but Disney has recently picked up, obviously, the Marvel Universe, and it's picked up Star Wars. So Star Wars and Marvel are a natural fit for this, and maybe that's one of the reasons that this has been delayed so much. But the problem is, one of the rumors that we've seen come from the studio is saying that there are some worlds they plan to do, but they haven't even started on them yet. And we're only 2 years away from release, or a year and a half away from release. If you haven't even started those worlds, that's frustrating. And if those worlds are the Marvel Universe and the Star Wars Universe, and you don't put those in those games, that'll be frustrating. That might actually get me to buy DLC. Or maybe just wait for the Game of the Year version, honestly. But I will buy the extra stuff if that's not in the base game, or maybe I won't buy the game at all. I don't know. You're just going to have to put them in there and find out. If you want to become really frustrated, know that we're still waiting till 2018 for this game, and this is also the same studio that is in charge of making the Final Fantasy VII remake, so we'll be playing that in like 2025, dude. In other video game rumor news, it looks like even though Ubisoft is insisting they are not working on Far Cry 5, it looks like they were filming in the state of Montana, and a lot of people are drawing from that an idea that maybe Far Cry 5 might be Western themed. This is obviously not a screenshot, and it's not a screenshot from Far Cry 5 either. I couldn't find anything like that, so instead I used this, which is just a picture of Roland from the Dark Tower series, by the way. And where is the Dark Tower video game? Why hasn't that happened yet? I'm sorry, I digress. Now, if you know me at all, Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite games I've ever played. Far Cry 4, I think, really was pretty decent. Primal was all right. But there's been rumors about what Far Cry 5 would be for a really long time. A lot of strange guesses. We've seen dinosaurs. We've seen vampires. We've seen a lot of different rumors. Western kind of makes sense, but it's also really weird with the timing because, we got Red Dead Redemption coming out probably next year or maybe even later this year, depending on what Rockstar says at E3. Anyways, the guys over at Screen Rant are the people who were responsible for all of these rumors. And if you want to read their article, just simply Google Far Cry 5 and Screen Rant. You'll find it. There's even rumors that Voss could appear in this upcoming game. None of this is definite, but here's what I will say. Whatever Far Cry 5 is, I'm probably going to play it. Dinosaurs? Sounds great. Vampires? Sounds great. On the moon? I'll play it. I don't care. I love Far Cry 5 gameplay, or Far Cry gameplay. As long as 5 has the same gameplay and a weird, wild world to explore with a decent story, I'm going to enjoy it. I'd rather have a Dark Tower game, though. Just saying. And speaking of Ubisoft, there are rumors of an Assassin's Creed game that may come out later this year or next year. Probably this year, though. And it is apparently a prequel called Origins, which I think is an interesting area to talk about. I think this cut and paste system of, new assassin, new world, new assassin, new world. I think doing something new and interesting with it and going back to the origin story would be interesting. But Ubisoft, let me remind you again, it doesn't matter the content of the game if it's buggy and it doesn't work. So you got to finish it, you got to complete it, you got to make it interesting, and you have to have your price model be fair. And then if all of that's in place, then I'm interested in the story. So please work on that other stuff first. So here's a really interesting piece of news, one that I haven't talked about for a little while because I was waiting to get some real information and see how people are going to react to it. But recently, Chinese lawmakers decided that since mobile games and video games have a lot of those loot boxes with random chances, it was not legal or not fair for people to not tell you what your chances are of getting certain items out of those loot boxes. So all video game companies that do want to publish in China now have to publish, at least in China, what the chances are of getting certain items out of these random boxes. Now, the folks over at Riot who make League of Legends, they did this immediately, showing that their hero shards have a 14% chance, skin shards 45% chance, a permanent heroes, I guess 7% chance, permanent skin 30%, summoner icons 2%, and ward skins 2%. Let me tell you something. I haven't played League of Legends in so long, I didn't even know they had loot boxes over there. That's totally news to me. Now, while I don't really play League anymore, I am glad that other companies are following suit. Blizzard has already done this for both Overwatch and Hearthstone, which is heavily played in China. In Overwatch, they said that it's guaranteed that you'll get a rare item per box, and your chances of a legendary item is 1 in 5.5 loot boxes, so keep that in mind if you decide to buy loot boxes. When it comes to Hearthstone, however, it looks like what they posted on the Chinese Hearthstone website says that your chances of a legendary out of a Hearthstone pack is 1 in 40, and that does include a pity timer that says if you don't open one legendary within 40 packs, you're guaranteed a legendary on your 40th pack. But Blizzard, this is one of the reasons Hearthstone is so expensive to get into, and one of the reasons I have so much difficulty recommending it. I wish it worked more like Magic Duels, where you're guaranteed to get every card after a set number of packs. There's only I don't know. It's you guys do you. You guys are clearly successful. I wish it was a little more consumer friendly, though. Personally, I'm glad that this information is readily available. I wish that companies would do this on a volunteer basis rather than a country forcing them to do it and then only doing it inside that country. Like, how absurd is that? And then the worst part about it is we don't know if it's specific to the Chinese region, that those are the statistics. It could be completely different everywhere else in the world, anywhere else in the world. You never know unless you're publishing the statistics in that country. There's no way to know. You can just compare it to the Chinese rates and hope that they are similar. But I'm also glad it was China that passed this law and not America, because I genuinely do not trust the American government when it comes to video games. They've been trying to neuter video games since the mid-90s. I want American government officials completely away from my video games, completely separate things. You guys stay over here and we'll play video games over here, and you guys just fuck off, right? And that's why I think it's so important that game developers choose to do this willingly so that nobody feels that they can force to do it. We've been self-regulating video games for 20-some years. Self-regulate this, please, guys. And that's all about all the news that really caught my attention this week. I'm sure I missed something, and if I did, please let me know in the comments section below. If you have an opinion on any of the stories here today, if you agree with me, you disagree with me, you've got a comment on the series of the things that I'm doing here on the channel, I'm always welcome to hear it. And as usual, guys, thank you so much for watching. Even though we don't have a sponsor this week, we'll probably have a sponsor next week. And as long as I know that I can continue to count on your views, I know that those sponsors will continue to be interested, and it's going to keep the show afloat. And as such, it's going to keep the entire channel afloat. And I love you guys for doing that. But more importantly, man, the last couple of weeks I've been complaining about stuff on Twitter and complaining about it on videos. And you guys have actually made me feel a lot better about writing me messages and commenting and leaving nice comments and finding me on Twitter and following me up with nice stuff. And I thank you guys for that. The things that you guys do for me. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I'll always be eternally grateful. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you soon. Now go play some video.